This is my first episode of Zombies Deep Dive on Black Ops 1. If you want to watch the World of War maps and my thoughts on them, check them out. Kino is probably, without a doubt, the most popular zombies map of all time, maybe contested only with Transit. Kino was an on-disc zombies map on the best-selling Call of Duty to date. Kino was what, for most people, might have been the only zombies map they ever played, or at least remember playing. It's the theater map, it's the one with the thunder gun, it's the one that your friends left you on the teleporter in. It's the one with the insane rock and roll song. It's that one. Kino was the zombies map. Kino is so popular that I guarantee what I'm about to say next, and if you saw the title of this video, will probably know where I'm going with this. I guarantee what I'm about to say next will piss people off. That's if this video gets any views, that is. So I'll just rip off the band-aid and say it. Kino der Toten is a terrible map. I will even go as far to say it is an F-tier map. It is awful.
What?
No, I know that sounds bad.
But let me explain. My first experience with Kino was not getting Black Ops 1 for Christmas or anything like that. It was far after that, so I have no nostalgic ties with the map, and I will list my points and explain/elaborate each point. At the end of each point, I will present a flaw that Kino has that just somehow gets a free pass because it's Kino, but I will also point out how that sin is on another map and why that map is just destroyed for having that sort of flaw. So, here we go. I present to you the 7 deadly sins of Kino der Toten. Starting off with the first sin, the map is way too easy. And I know difficulty is subjective, but Kino der Toten is an easy map with plenty of wide open spaces. None more infamous than the Kino stage. The stage introduced a majority of the zombies community to a new strategy of playing zombies. Instead of hunkering down in one spot and hoping you don't get overwhelmed, you can instead run around the zombies and beat the AI at their own game. The Kino stage was wide and open and even had a trap to help you out. This means that Kino was basically no challenge, as you just running around in a circle for as long as you can, and you can get to as high of a round as you want. The only issue you run into it is your ammo, and making sure you just get whatever gun you want out of the box again is going to be the only hurdle in your high round attempt. In Black Ops 3, this issue is even removed with gobblegums that can give you ammo straight up. As if Kino wasn't easy enough, they went ahead and put the thunder gun in this map. Up until a few years ago, the thunder gun was hands down the most overpowered weapon in Call of Duty Zombies. If you are ever, for whatever reason, trapped in a corner or in a sticky situation, you literally just shoot your thunder gun and you are no longer in that situation. It's essentially a get out of jail free card, but you can use it like almost 30 times per max ammo. Getting to such high rounds gives players an unnecessary amount of pride in the fact that they reached a round that in pretty much any other map they couldn't get to. Let me ask you this. Why do we let Kino get a pass for being easy, but maps like Shinonuma and where you can get to rounds in the tens of thousands, and maps like Revelations are another incredibly easy map? Why do those maps get flack for being easy, but Kino doesn't? Kino der Toten is a lazy map. First off, it was meant to be DLC for World of War, so assuming that's the case, why is it that the map doesn't seem to be innovated upon in any way? I can buy that this map in its exact state was indeed a World of War map, but they had a whole nother year to change the map up or innovate it in some way. Why didn't Treyarch do it? Most of the innovation came in the DLC cycle, where there were less eyes on the game. Treyarch had an opportunity to pull a show-stopping spectacle with new perks or a wacky Easter egg or build upon some characters in some way. But when I say Kino added nothing, they added nothing. Juggernog, Speed Cola, Double Tap, Quick Arrive, these are all the same perks we've had before. Knowing what Treyarch would add in future maps just makes this even more insulting. The only thing I could really think of that Kino actually added were some new traps. There's a fire trap and a turret trap. Wow. Pack-a-Punch was even dumbed down upon, and we'll get to that in a minute, but seriously, can you think of one thing Kino added that wasn't in DeReese? And you can't argue the weapons because every game has a new weapon roster, so you can't really count that. There's the Thunder Gun, but that's also in other maps, and as we established earlier, it's just a get-out-of-jail-free card. As a thought experiment, go through every map in your head and think about each map besides the setting. What is unique about that map and what it brought to the table? DeReese introduced Pack-a-Punch, obviously. 5 had the Bonfire Sale. Ascension added PhD and Salmon Up. Call of the Dead was the one with George Romero and Deadshot Daiquiri, so on and so forth. Up until the point of where we literally go to the moon. The developers were SLOTH about making this map and just copy-pasting features without doing anything new. So let me ask you this. Why do we give the World War II and Exo Zombies maps flack for not changing enough, but Kino gets a pass? Kino is worse than DeReese in every way. It's like Treyarch just took DeReese and made it a little easier. Everything in this map is just copied and pasted into this map for no reason, and without thinking about why it worked in DeReese but not here. I know we would get a chicken and the egg scenario here, but think about it this way. Let's say if Kino came out in World at War and DeReese came out as the launch map for Black Ops 1, how well do you think the maps would have been received? I am aware that DeReese got re-released on Black Ops 1, but it wasn't a launch map, it was DLC as well. Less eyes than Kino. I don't really want to repeat myself with these points, but I do strongly believe that the challenge of DeReese is what made it so special. Kino is not difficult, and thus getting to high rounds isn't anything to boast about. I'll put it this way. Kino is basically the kid that tells the joke a little louder. It took everything from DeReese and put it a little more front and center than DeReese, and suddenly it's the greatest thing of all time. But just like the kid saying it a little louder, he said it without any of the inflection or tone of the original. But he just said it, like reading a script. Kino has way too much envy of its younger brother DeReese. So let me ask you this. Why do we give Blood of the Dead so much flack for being inferior to Mob of the Dead, but give Kino a pass? Probably the worst thing, the most infuriating thing about Kino, not only is this map easy, but they decided to toss in, without a doubt, the worst special enemy in the entire existence of COD Zombies. The Nova Crawlers are just god-awful, so not only are they not with eye level with you, they also have a considerable amount of health. The good thing about the dogs is that in later games, at least, is that they have like no health, so even if they do charge at you really fast, it's not that bad to deal with. Nova Crawlers have a bit of health, and they are chonky boys, so it's not really that bad at face value, but if you kill them, they explode in a fart cloud. So which is it, Trey? Am I being punished for keeping them alive or killing them? Not only that, but turning on the power causes Nova Crawlers to spawn, and they spawn on the ceiling, and this building is like the size of the Empire State Building. They take an eternity to climb down the walls. So you are punished for turning on the power early as well. If you want to avoid Nova Crawlers, you can go outside in the alleyway, which is one of the tightest spots for high rounds ever. Again, you are punished for playing the game. I really want you to think of a map where you see Nova Crawlers and get excited to kill them. 5, Moon, Diarize, Classified, Alpha Omega. Here's a hint. None of those maps were well received by most of the community. So why is Kino? The Pack-a-Punch process is a double-edged sword. It's probably the most simple Pack-a-Punch process in the history of zombies, but it's also on the tedious side. Yes, the actual steps to get Pack-a-Punch is not tedious, but doing it over and over, it's so annoying, especially on co-op. When you get left behind, then if that's the case, you have to survive against the horde on your own, wait for the teleport to cool down, then reactivate it. Pretty much every other Pack-a-Punch in zombies is permanently unlocked. You know what Kino's Pap reminds me of? Transit. And oh boy do I love Transit. It's more of a nitpick than anything really, but just any of the other many sins that Kino committed. Kino is the biggest waste of space ever. Why is this map so big? Okay, seriously, what does the map actually need? We have several rooms where the only thing in it is a wall gun or a trap or something. Everything in Kino is so spread out and far apart. The right side of the map is completely pointless. You don't really train there. The only thing that's over there is speed cola, wowee. Not only that, but pretty much every other room looks the exact same. There's no defining characteristics of any room besides the alleyway and the stage itself. The remaining rooms could be literally rearranged in any order like Lego bricks and nothing would really change. There's nothing inspiring about Kino. There's no unique environments that haven't been done better. Why does Voyage of Despair get flack for every room looking the same, but not Kino? Kino is probably the most repetitive map ever. To train on Kino, you want this left side stage door closed, so you will never ever go left on Kino. There is no incentive to go left on Kino. You always go right. Pretty much every other map has trade-offs for going one way or the other. In an open map with lots of space, every time you play Kino, it's the same. You always go right. So yeah, those are the 7 deadly sins of Kino der Toten. Are there any positives to the map? Yeah, actually. As much flack as I give this map, it did do one thing right, and that was introduce a whole bunch of new COD players to the zombies community. Multiplayer exploded in Modern Warfare 2, and the next game gave many people's first look into zombies. Kino was simple to pick up and understand and had wide open spaces to work with, and for tons of people, this was their very first COD zombies experience ever. Kino is what they know, the big theater map with the 115 song. It's comforting in a sense that everything they know is in one spot. But for Treyarch, they wanted more. They were expanding and planting the seeds for their manifest destiny. Overall, Kino is a map that is very boring and didn't bring that much to the table, but it did do one thing right, and that was introduce zombies to a massive audience with welcoming arms. But the map aged insanely poorly, and while it's a noob's paradise, that's pretty much it, which is why I'm giving Kino der Toten a 4 out of 10, F tier.